Well, today it's Startup Britain, on the Money's regular slot, featuring some of the most successful and interesting startups in the UK right now. Britain's bath wash and body wash industry scrubs up pretty well, if you pardon the pun. Sales of these products were estimated at a whopping £379 million back in December 2020, having increased consistently over the last decade. But it is a crowded market. But that didn't stop today's Startup Britain guest from founding her own bath time business. Last year, mum of two, Gabi Jennings, created Love Ocean, which sells environmentally friendly bath products for kids, such as bubble bath, body wash and reusable whale tail bottles. And Love Ocean's already making waves, having secured a deal with Ocado in October last year. That's the online branch of Waitrose, of course, as well as launching in Boots earlier this month. So here she is, Gabi Jennings, founder of Love Ocean, my latest guest on Startup Britain. Gabi, great to have you in the studio. We have all kinds of business people here in the On the Money studio, not least for Startup Britain. So here it is, the famous whale tail bottle. Crikey. Yeah, that'll persuade a kid to persuade a mum to buy. Very clever. How did you get into business? Are you a business person anyway, or you just fancied it?
No, my background's advertising and marketing. Worked in the beauty industry for many years. So, yeah, I sort of really saw it from the other side of the spectrum, really, just once the products were in market and then sort of how we would market and advertise them. So, yeah, this is a complete sort of, departure from what I was doing previously. So it's been quite a steep learning curve.
So as a mum of two, you're obviously buying body wash and particularly bath wash products. And I guess you saw a gap in the market. When I was a kid, it was all about Matey's a bottle of fun. You put me in the bath, a very catchy earworm TV ad. It's a big market, isn't it? But a crowded market.
Yeah, it is. And I think, really the opportunity that I saw was, exactly to your point, sort of that really iconic piece of packaging that Matey had in the 80s that reminds
Clean fun, clean kids and a clean bath.
Exactly that. So, I just thought looking at, it's obviously it's an essential product for families, sort of bath products for kids. And there just seemed to be this sort of real gap for something that, was sort of organic and natural and good for skin that mums are really searching for, but also in a piece of packaging that really could sort of inspire kids and, sort of work for them as well. And as a parent, I always found myself sort of, compromising between sort of good for skin and, a fun product perhaps that the kids would want, So it was really sort of bringing those two things together, and that was the opportunity that I saw.
Now, my kids are mainly grown up now, but I do remember bath times. I mean, it's a key moment of the day, isn't it? It should be a fun time. It's also a time when particularly mums are absolutely frazzled a day of look. You just want to get them in bed. Of course, you love them dearly, but Absolutely. Shut up now, go away. Need some time to myself. It's important to make bath time fun time, isn't it? So I guess that's why you've got the whale tail bottle. That's why you're trying to encourage mums and kids to like bubbles and associating cleanliness and routine with having fun together.
Absolutely, and I think for me really, having the whale-shaped bottle was a real opportunity to bring a really important environmental message, into those family bath times. I think it's such it is a stressful part of the day, but it's also the time that mums get to really sit and have one-on-one time with the children, and therefore it's an amazing time to really engage with children and talk about some of these sort of big issues perhaps that are on their radar, and this was a kind of a good cue to do that, really. So
you had the advertising and marketing smarts from your previous life, Gabi. How difficult was it to get a product in a bottle like that? Lots and lots of I's to dot, T's to cross, lots of stuff you put on kids' skin. It has to be tested. And then getting the deals with the likes of Ocado, the likes of Boots, that must have taken a lot of determination. Was it harder than you thought it would be?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think anyone can prepare you for this journey. And I think every journey is completely unique. I think that, for me personally, it was about really, sort of delving into my network and finding the experts that I needed to help me deliver on each part of the business plan, really. And that's been an amazing sort of journey of sort of aggregating, particularly...
Must have been like pulling teeth.
Yeah, it was, but also because of the complexities of, COVID and lockdown.
Yeah,
I mean, I was basically pulling the business together throughout lockdown, as well as raising funds and going out fundraising. So
And looking after your 2 kids.
And looking after my 2 kids and running a family home. So it was tough, but there's a real driver behind a passion project like this. I mean, for me, it was. I just had a determination to get it to market. And I think that, was what really kind of got me through all of the stresses, I think.
Now, in my experience, entrepreneurs, they are exceptional people, but they're also normal people doing exceptional things, aren't they? I mean, what is it about you, about your makeup that made you determined to do this? You had advertising, marketing, you're a well-established professional. You could have gone back after your kids. There were openings available for you. What made you put yourself through all this pain? Is it just the prospect that if you get this thing really launched and you get kids singing, Love Ocean adverts as opposed to Matey adverts, of course, other bath suds are available, then you can make a lot of cash out of this. But what is the real motivation here for you, Gabi?
The motivation for me is that, that we need big change. I have a love of the ocean, and I think what for me was a real passion point was seeing my children at a young age noticing plastic pollution on the beaches and coming to me and feeling that it was their responsibility to pick up this pollution because they understood the impact of that. And I think, for me, this is about, as a small business, really showing to some of the bigger businesses that have much more resource to make big change. And it's sort of like, if we can make change, then so can everyone. It's really about...
of course, that's the environmental message. And of course, listeners and viewers will be thinking, all firms have to have an environmental message these days, don't they? It's almost de rigueur, it's almost compulsory, and you're a nasty person if you don't have one. But in the end, that you need real determination, don't you, to see through... you're taking on really big companies that, the Unilevers, the Procter & Gambles and so on. How, what makes you think that your little whale there can actually be a shark and take a bite out of their market share? You're going to need something different, aren't you? You're going to need some particular piece of branding, some particular moment when you can capture the public's imagination. What's it going to be?
I think it's about investing in packaging. I think, the tradition for so long has been to sort of, buy off-the-shelf packaging because it's easily accessible and it's cheaper. But the reality is that, if we want things to change, we have to, as brand owners and producers, we have to invest in things like plastic packaging, because the more we invest in it, the more people will keep it and they will see it as a commodity rather than something that can just be discarded and thrown away. So I think really that's what, tooling a bottle from scratch rather than going and buying a bottle off the shelf is a massive undertaking. And it was a huge gamble and a huge risk up front, getting investors to get on board and actually, pre-revenue buy into the vision of that, And I think, to your point about Ocado and, Boots and some of these big retailers that have picked us up within 6 months, that really is testament to the packaging. Because they can see the potential of what we've created. So I think that's...
What would be the one thing you'd tell Gabi a couple of years ago as opposed to Gabi now? What would you tell someone watching or listening to this interview who's thinking, I could be an entrepreneur? What's the key lesson you've learned?
Just go for it. I think, it's never going to be perfect. I think everybody, feels that, you've got to get all of your ducks in a row before you even move. And I think what I've learned is that, you've just got to get out there and go for it, and just see where things land and just, deal with the problems as they arise.
She's very determined. Gabi Jennings, great to see you.
Thanks,
and to meet this Love Ocean whale tail bottle. There it is. Good to see you here on The Money. Our latest Startup Britain guest there, Gabi Jennings.